This is the future. Evolution.
The Crossing Realms Conference launches September 19th and 20th and will dock in Richmond, Missouri. This is already being called the event of the year, folks. With an unprecedented list of speakers and special guests, 2 days of cryptids, UFOs, and paranormal presentations, along with a celebrity-filled ghost hunt, meet and greet, gallery reading, vendors, and a film screening. This promises to be both educational and fun. Go to Eventbrite.com to secure your tickets and vendor slots before they are all abducted. They're going fast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Thursday afternoon. Of course, it is Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. Thanks to everybody for coming in this afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for coming in. Don't forget to hit that alert bell. My buddy Tex is back after a 6-week hiatus. So good to have my good old friend from down south with us. And also, Brent Thomas is backstage. He'll be joining us. Brent was, thanks to Brent, the Paranormal Portal. Please subscribe to Brent if not already. He sat in with me for maybe 3 of the 6 weeks. Thank you to Brent for that. Most appreciated. Of course, if you are new here, please subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob on YouTube, Texas Front Porch, the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast. I mentioned Brent Thomas, Paranormal Portal. Donnie Cho Says Stuff. Truth or Tinfoil. The lovely Monica Rollins, Our Paranormal World. Check them out. Check out JT Josh Turner, Paranormal Roundtable as well. We got a pretty good show. I'm going to do a follow-up today on the sighting of the Bigfoot here in my state of Michigan, Monroe, Michigan, about 3 weeks ago. I reported on that with Brent, and we're going to do a few other cool things and talk with Tex. I'll bring him up in just a moment. I want to thank everybody, though, for buying my books found on Amazon. Of course, most of you know them by now. Many of you have bought them. Bigfoot Michigan Rob Presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1, Book 2, both found on Amazon. Please leave a review for those of you that made the purchase. Believe it or not, it does immensely push the sales of the book. Every review that I get, it seems like the algorithm just gets pushed, and I get some more people buying them, more exposure to people that don't know about me. So yeah, thanks for that in advance. I greatly appreciate that. If you're new, of course, subscribe to us. As I said, you can find us wherever podcasts are found. Of course, the super chat is open, a great way to support what we do. Also, become a BMR pirate, mateys. Arr. Join the many, join the few, depending on your point of view. Yeah, you get a picture of me sporting a bandana in the background. That's what you get for now, folks. That's what you get for now. With that, I'm going to get this party started, as they say. There's my buddy Tex. And here is Tex. I think you're on mute.
I am not on mute.
You didn't say anything. I'm sorry.
I just gave you a big old Texas grin.
Thank you, my friend.
I want to say welcome, everybody, to the secret freaking party.
You're welcome to the party. And there's Brent Thomas. Hi, Brent. How are you?
Hello, gentlemen. How you guys doing?
We're doing great. As you can see, Tex sent me a bottle of that whiskey a couple years ago for Christmas, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Nice.
And
don't be surprised if I show up to Missouri with one.
Don't be surprised. And we added another venue to our great event. We're doing a pre-party on Thursday. Somehow, along the lines of communication out on the interwebs, it's turned into the Texas secret party. And all I must say, I'm not going to spend much time on this. I'm not, thanks for promoting us, by the way. You know who you are out there. And I will say this. When I got the news, Tex, and I've known you for a long time, and was kind of disappointed because I thought we were friends. And when I heard that these parties were about just gratuity and debauchery, how come I was not invited? I thought I had an open invite. I guess not. So the next time you have one of these secretive get-togethers, I want to be number one on the list.
You are.
Thank you so much.
You are. You and Brent are number 1 and 2. 1 and 2.
When you think of debauchery, you think of me, I'm sure.
You and Rob, right there. I mean, you know.
Look at Brent. You know, he looks like he's got that old raggedy T-shirt on. He's got the, come on.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's a nice shirt, Brent. I'm just
you're getting the right out of waking up from bed me version today. But I've got my coffee. Look at that cup. Isn't that cool?
That is cool.
It's a Bigfoot.
Well, you're getting the same thing with me. See, I put a little twist on this. I got home about 8:00 this morning. It is now noon 15 here. I got off work 7. Got home about 8:00 this morning.
Ooh.
And got up. I'm going to do the show, spend some time with y'all, and then I'm going back to bed because I got to work tonight.
I love your shirt, Tex. What the hell? You got your own gear? Get the hell out of here. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
This is how you get into the super secret party.
Oh, yeah. I don't have one. How do I get one, Tex?
You know what? I will send y'all a link to get your own super secret party shirt.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Tex, go.
No, it's this is the secret word to get in the get in the pet. Got to walk it. Okay, he's good. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make me up one now with a BMR on it, and Brent, you do a portal, and maybe we'll get the whole cast of Misfit Toys to bring their own logoed Hawaiian shirts, because I do like the Hawaiian look.
You know what? It has become
your staple.
My staple. I got my jeans, my jeans on, my boots on, Hawaiian shirt, sunglasses, and my hat. And I look like a Port Aransas drug dealer just got off on bail, trying to get home. So but I'll tell you how ready I am to party. I even got my this it's a necklace, but I can't wear it except as a bracelet. Because the little tiny thing that give it to me was a little tiny. And so yeah, I got that at one of my super secret parties down in Jefferson, Texas. So
very nice.
Yeah, that is nice. Boy, how many times do you have to wrap that around your wrist though to make a bracelet? Twice? Wow, okay. So it's what is that silver look like? Does it have like little medallions on it or trinkets?
Yeah, what it is, it's silver and turquoise, and it's silver barbed wire with little turquoise in it.
That's really cool. Wow.
I like that.
So yeah, she gave me that. I met her and her husband there at the bar in Jefferson, and she gave me that right before she asked if me and my wife are swingers. So
yeah, dear boy, yes.
Yeehaw. Oh, there you go.
Yes, absolutely. The truth is out.
She said, are you and your wife swingers? I said, not yet.
Yeah. Like I said, Tex, I'm glad that I have an open invite for the next craziness that happens. But it's going to kick off Thursday. Thursday the 18th. Our event, of course, is the 19th and the 20th. A lot of great featured speakers and guests. It's going to be one hell of a show. We've got the ghost hunt, a ghost tour for other folks. Tons of vendors, by the way. Everybody, if you want to be a vendor, we are accepting applications still all the way up until the point, because it doesn't matter. If you sell something, if you're a crafts person, you're an art person, you're an author, whatever, it doesn't matter. Hell, you can sell flowers. If you sell something and have a small business, come on down. There's going to be, I got to tell you, Tex, I don't know what the numbers are, but I think we've sold a boatload of tickets already.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
there's going to be a lot of foot traffic for 3 days.
And you mentioned selling flowers. If you sell flowers, you're probably going to make a bunch of money off me, because I'll buy everybody flowers. I don't care. Y'all know me. I'll flirt, dance, men, women. I don't, dog, cats. I don't care.
I'd like some flowers myself. I'm a big flower enthusiast.
Well, I'll make you gotta wear it though. So I'll buy you a boutonniere.
Hell, I'll wear it, man. I'll
buy everybody a yellow rose of Texas. So
yellow rose of Texas.
Yellow rose of Texas.
So again, thanks, Tex. I know that you got to get your schedule adjusted. You might not spend the full 90 with us, and I understand that. You'll be back on track in the swing of things next week, Thursday. And Brent, I did want to thank you for filling in for Tex for a few of the times.
Yeah,
that was appreciative of me.
I would have done every one of them if I could, but it's crazy the way that I have my interview schedule set up is I let people pick their own slot, and I have days set aside. And my God, they've been scheduled forever, but they were scheduling interviews on Thursdays consistently 2 weeks in a row. And it's like, oh wow, okay. So I do apologize. I couldn't make it every one of them, but I got here when I could.
No, I appreciate that, and I was able to make do. The days that you actually weren't on, I did have I had guests on, so if I got a guest, I'm cool. I'm good to roll. So it worked out fine. And I got to say, and Brett, you did a great job. And Tex, I must say, and I'll openly admit this on air, I did miss you, my friend, because you and I have been doing this show together for, boy, I don't know how many times the Earth has revolved around the sun, but boy, it seems like it's been that long. And there was a void. And again, Brent did a great job, but I'm glad to have you back in the saddle. I'm glad that I'm an A-lister for the secret parties, because I'm all about secret parties.
Oh, absolutely.
So thank you for that.
And, as long as we can keep the dead gum, the cops away from us will be all right. But I got most of them paid off. So
yeah, I'm glad you do. Hey, listen, I'm not going to get too far into my career, but I've visited the police several times, and we'll leave it at that. Back in my younger days.
I have been a guest at the Crossbar Home Motel a time or two.
Only good fun. I told a story. I'm not going to get into it, but I was speaking at karaoke. I was in my 30s, and all my friends and family were there, including my father and mother and everybody on the planet. So it was a karaoke. And I was saying When a Man Loves a Woman.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone, when I was done, everyone kind of stopped and stared at me kind of with dreadful looks on their faces. And I was, under the weather. Okay. And so I got mad, and I said, give me a standing O as an ovation. And I flipped off the crowd on stage. All of a sudden, a melee breaks out. And my dumb Rob left my credit card at the counter with one of the servers. I got popped for $1,200 for incidentals.
Oh no.
Damages to the bar.
Oh, damn.
My dad ended up getting arrested. I didn't get arrested, but some of my friends did. My dad was one of them. And I got to tell you about my dad. He's since been gone about 8 years now. And we go to get him out of jail. And my dad, this is back in the day when he had payphones inside jails.
Right.
Or payphones even on this corner.
Yeah.
He was handcuffed to a payphone because there were so many people that got arrested that night. And he was sleeping with his hands wrapped around a telephone inside the bar. We had to wake him up and get him out. They didn't have any room in the cells. That's how crazy this party got him. But I walked away, got my dad out, and it's something that I'm not proud of, but it's certainly a story that's brought up almost every Thanksgiving.
Hey, I want to give a shout out real quick to just a couple of people. Well, one really special person, new buddy of mine, and I'm a fan of his, man. And that's Tommy up there in Alabama. I finally got to meet him face to face, and man, greater guy you won't ever meet. And of course, you know me, I had to get me a hug and everything, and shake his hand and all that kind of stuff. We took some pictures together, and I got to tell you, man, I don't know if it's going to happen, but I got this. I'm gonna try to talk. I might talk to him trying to come on the show sometime. Let y'all meet Tommy. Tommy is a fantastic man. Fantastic man. Now, it's an honor to meet him, and I just want Tommy to give you a shout out. Thank you, buddy. Love you, man.
Is he in the chat room? Would he happen to be the Night Watch? Because the Night Watch.
No. He's probably watching. He might be watching over Selena's shoulder, and that's another person I want to give a shout out to is Selena with Southern Belle Bigfoot. So,
absolutely. Thanks to everybody for coming on in. If you're new, please subscribe to all of us across the floor. So anyway, Texio, enough of that.
Yep.
How things start. Who cares? I really laugh it all off, and we are a fun group of people. That is for sure. But we're gonna have
that's mine. And the Night's Watch is mine and Brandy's love child. That's Jim.
Kim?
Yeah.
Welcome, Kim.
Jim.
Welcome, Jim. Sorry, Jim. Yeah. So
he cut his hair. You can't call him Kim anymore.
Okay, there you go. I got to tell you guys. So I think the first or second week you were off, we had an encounter with a Bigfoot in Monroe, Michigan, and it just so happens that I was listening to my favorite. Now check this out. Sorry, Brent, to bore you again, but if you recall this, but it was.
No worries.
I was listening to my favorite sports channel every morning, and they also now stream on YouTube. And I don't go and I usually listen on the radio, and I might put it up on YouTube just to see the guys in the background because it's streamed like this. And all of a sudden, and then every once in a while, they'll talk about oddities in the world. And they got a report of a Bigfoot sighting in Monroe, Michigan. And now I'm really tuned into the YouTube and I'm reading the chat. And of course, the radio jockeys are poking fun of it. I mean, they turn it into, as you would expect, a farce.
Right.
So I happen to go in the chat room, and I don't go in the chat room on the radio station. And I said, hey, and of course it pulls up Bigfoot Michigan Rob. And I said, hey, Bigfoot does exist. I'm going to check into this, and then this, that, and the other. And then I left the link to my channel on the radio station. And as soon as Brent and I started that day, and I left and I had to do the show, a couple of people from 97.1 The Ticket, shout out to 97.1 The Ticket in Detroit, Carson Anderson show. A couple of people from the radio channel came on in the chat room. They wanted to hear what I had to say. So that was kind of cool. Awesome. So I did that story. I'm not getting into that again. Yes, there was a sighting. Okay. So what I did was I did some background and did some research into these things. And last week there was another reported sighting, not as detailed as the one that was given 3 weeks ago. And then I looked further and I came across something about Monroe, because Monroe is very marshy, a lot of swampland. And I found this story, which I'm surprised I did not hear about. It's a newspaper article that I'm going to read. It's from the Monroe Press. Okay. It's about the Monroe Monster. Okay. And it goes on. In August of 1965, the quiet night roads of north of Monroe in Michigan were the stage for a startling encounter that would capture the attention of the entire country. Christine Van Acker, a 17-year-old, and her mother were returning from a day's outing, driving through the countryside. Little did they know they were about to cross paths with a creature that had been stirring unease in the area for months. The so-called Monroe County monster had been a topic of increasing concern, with Michigan State Police receiving reports of its nocturnal wanderings since June. Thank you, Mark. So the police had been getting reports on something and some monster in the woods, right? So initially, regarded with a mix of curiosity and disbelief, the creature's presence had taken a darker turn, with recent weeks bringing reports of aggressive behavior, including 2 attacks that had the local community on edge. As Christine navigated the quiet road, the night was abruptly disrupted by a figure that emerged from the roadside. With no time to react, Christine and her mother were confronted by a towering presence, a creature standing at 7 feet tall and weighing approximately 400 pounds. His body was covered in long black coarse hair, a sight that rooted them to the spot in a mixture of fear and astonishment. Okay. Without warning, without warning, the creature lunged at their car, reaching in through the open window with a hand that seemed more human than beast. Christine felt a grip on her hair, a physical assertion of the creature's reality that was as terrifying as it was surreal. In those seconds, the boundary between legend and reality blurred, leaving them in a state of shock. The encounter was brief but intense, ending as the creature withdrew and vanished into the night as suddenly as it had appeared. Shaken to their core, Christine and her mother sped away, leaving behind the scene of their unimaginable encounter. In the days that followed, the story of Christine's confrontation with the Monroe County monster would spread, fueled by a sketch provided by a witness that captured the creature's daunting appearance. I have a picture of that and pull up in a minute. The community grappled with the knowledge that something was lurking in their midst, a presence both formidable and mysterious. This encounter, marked by the physical aggression of the creature, added a new layer, ongoing mystery surrounding the Monroe County monster, which has allegedly now been reported and witnessed from 1965 several more times. I think, if I remember correctly, it was 8 up until 3 weeks ago when that aired on the radio show, which Brent and I talked about. And really briefly, I'm going to pull up a newspaper article clipping of a picture with the article and the girl's head. Well, here, I'll just pull it up. I mean, I don't know if anybody can see that on your phone. Now, this is a dump. Did area monster have itchy feet? I mean, beast reported in Monroe. And here's the girl. And I guess you really can't see, but there's, I guess, a mark on the side of her head on the lower. But this is the young lady that reportedly was grabbed at. And yeah, and this, you can find this, go to the Monroe newspaper archives, and there's several other articles on that. I found that to be pretty fascinating, you guys.
You hear those kind of, you hear those kind of encounters every once in a while. And thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Oh, by the way, I think you missed a couple at the beginning of the show there, Rob. Kelly Sandford.
Oh, thank you, Kelly. Canada's finest, Kelly Sandford.
And then you've got Andrew.
Andrew's invited to the secret party.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. To get invited to the secret party, all you have to do is show up to the
Thursday at the oh, by the way, it's at a haunted ranch of all things as well.
Oh,
so
yeah.
This would be a great party. And it's
all ticket holders can get into
all
the secret
holders.
Party.
Yes, super secret party.
Yeah, look here. You got another one.
Oh, thank you, Diane.
But yeah, you hear those every once in a while.
Yeah.
There was about them sticking their hands or their heads in the windows and stuff. I even heard of a Dogman that did that one time to a moving car. Was running along beside the moving car and stuck its head in the passenger side window, and it had a big logging chain wrapped around its neck.
Ooh, a logging chain?
A logging chain, big thick logging chain. like a collar or
Oh, so I
or
mean,
broke its leash or something.
when you say logging chain, was that presumably taken from a logging spot or area?
Well, they just call them logging chains because they're
Oh,
big, thick, heavy chains, and they use them a lot for logging. But there was another short encounter, real quick, in
yeah.
Ruidoso, New Mexico, that my producer that I used to have when I first started the show, she lives up there. Well, this is her neighbor, and her neighbor was griping one time about a bear that had stolen 2 apples out of her kitchen window. And I said, well, what was her exact words?
Mhm.
And she says, well, she was telling me this bear stuck its hand in the window and stole 2 apples. I said, okay, but just pump the brakes here. Bears, okay, you stole 2 apples. You got to have opposable thumbs to do that. Grab 2 apples, right?
Yeah.
Not to mention, this window was about 8 feet off the ground. Black bears don't get that big. Okay. That wasn't no bear.
Yeah, no.
Wasn't no bear. And there's been multiple sightings in the area. And so, yeah, Bigfoot stuck his hand in the window and stole 2 apples off her windowsill.
That's kind of the caveat fallback for any of the skeptics. It's like, well, it's a bear. It's a bear. Everything's a bear. You know.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Or it's
when we talk about
behind
that, yeah, we talk about, it was misidentified as a bear. I'm going to flip the script here. How many bears are or how many Bigfoots are misidentified as bears?
Probably
They get down on all fours, and the first one I saw was solid black. If he was on all fours, bear. So, and even bipedal, what big animal down here in the States goes bipedal? Bear. So I think it goes both ways. I really do. Much like rock goes both ways.
You'll find out at the secret party. Yeah. We're having too much fun with that. Right. But anyway.
Yeah, we are.
So, Brent, what did you think of this follow-up story about the Monroe monster? Had you ever heard of that? Because I know that you are into.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about any of those specifically, but I think it's fantastic that there's a history as well. Like it doesn't just tie it up as a one-off. There's a chain of events throughout a period of time, and yeah, I mean, I think it's fantastic, and I think it lends it more credibility. Right? Like one misidentification is one thing, but when there's other people that are seeing the same strange phenomena over and over, definitely to me lends it a lot more credibility.
I think so too. We always are looking for the data, and that's why I like data so much. We all do, and just the reports. And when I just started looking that up, I said, "Holy cow, there's something really going on." And I was kind of mad at myself because it was in my own backyard. Well, an hour ride, really. And so that was fast. So I'm going to really investigate this even further. So,
yeah,
an hour ride down here in Texas, that's close enough to be a neighbor.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. It sounds like that's a real hot spot, though, right? How far is that away from where your sighting was, Rob?
Well, that's way south. My sighting was about 4 hours northwest.
Okay.
But since we're on the subject, 2 years ago in my first book that I put out, I did an encounter, and I knew that I did this story from this guy this was from Monroe, Michigan, and there was a place I used to golf back when I used to golf. It was called the River Raisin, which is in Monroe County, which is where all these last several sightings have taken place. So we used to golf over there. And today, you guys, is over now the Raisin River, or the river of Raisin. They worded it kind of weird, and it runs through the golf course and through where these encounters we just spoke about took place. And today, though, man, it's overrun with an abundance of deer. You literally, I mean, deer are beautiful. This is a beautiful golf course, but there's just so many deer, you guys, that they've actually have to shut down the golf course for part of the season because they're all over.
Wow.
So that, yeah, I mean, hey, I tell you what, if someone told me there was 1 billion white-tailed deer in my state, I would believe them. And they're not all just up north.
Right.
I mean, you could drive down my freeway right out the door here. I'll go down 3 miles, get on the freeway, and there's deer hanging out right off the freeway and the wood line along the freeway, which is crazy. You can see them out in a little meadow, and it's weird because the freeway is on both sides, and they just kind of hang out. They don't appear to be scared. I guess they just grew up in the environment and they're used to it, I guess, like anything else, right? So this Raisin River, by this golf course, again, by where these last 2 experiences were, there's these guys in this canoe. Now, parts of the Raisin River flows rapidly, and some gets kind of stagnant, where you literally, you've got to do some work to move about it. And excuse me, in a lot of sections, there's a lot of underbrush growing from the bottom of the river that goes up. So it's very easy to get snagged on whatever's in the water, right? And it'll get shallow. It'll go from 6 feet, 8 feet, drop to depths of 6 inches, where you literally got to pull your canoe to another side of the river and then regain and get back in and start going about your business in the canoe, paddling down. So these guys, they're telling me they're on the River Raisin, and much like I explained, they thought they got hung up on something, right? And as they're flowing down, and there's a lot of underbrush again penetrating the surface of the river, so they're trying to navigate out of this. And now they get stuck, and they can't figure out what in the heck they got stuck on. Then all of a sudden, their canoe starts, they feel like their canoe is like dislodging from being stuck, but it kind of but now their canoe, they're telling me this, kind of rose up, no kidding, out of the river, the Raisin River, and they were kind of like out of the river, maybe 3-4 feet, and the canoe tipped over, and these guys and everything inside their canoe dispersed, and they fell right into the river. And they're like, what in the hell was that? And once they get up out of the water and they're looking towards the edge of the riverbank, they didn't say, they assumed it was a creature and not a bear, certainly, because they seen this big furry animal, black hair, much like I described earlier, get out and kind of trudge its way up out of the river and back into the tree line and disappeared. And then they're asking me, Rob, that was not a bear, was it? I said, well, I wasn't there. I didn't see it. Your description is better than what I could tell you. So I said, I've never heard anything like that. And you guys, I don't think bears submerge themselves in water for an extended period of time. And secondly, there's no bear, and there's no black bear or any bear in Monroe County as well.
Well, I mean, bears will swim underwater.
Okay.
But, I mean, I don't know.
Again, I don't know what that was. I chalked it up as Bigfoot, and then hence there's been several witness accounts there in the this summer already, right? Or this spring, summer.
Well, I would think, but bears don't stay underwater a long time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They can't.
Yeah, they would have seen the bear before they. Yeah.
But then my question is, certainly not an expert in the field of cryptids or Bigfoot. I don't think Bigfoot, they don't have gills. I mean, they can't spend a lot of time underneath water, right?
Well, according to what I've heard, they can swim quite a ways underwater, but.
Well, I would think, though, with the capacity of their lungs, they could probably hold their breath longer than you or I could.
No, yeah.
Okay, so it does make a little more sense, right?
I mean, I've heard of them, messing with boats and every once in a while. So,
Yeah, I've
They're
definitely heard.
rare, of course, but and even seeing them swimming and then pop up and then swim some more underwater. So it's hell, it's possible.
It's possible. Ever hear anything quite like that, Brett?
No, that's brand new to me. And just as a side note, while we were talking, I was thinking about it. I don't know. It occurs to me that there seems to be a lot more sightings coming in, especially in more recent years, and it makes me wonder. It's like, well, is there more of them, or is it just more likely that people are willing to talk about it? But I started thinking about, we were talking about deer, and it occurred to me that nature kind of seems to have a biorhythm. Like if there's an abundance of food, then other populations explode around it. And I just did a search here because I really think that deer is one of the primary, maybe at least a staple of the Bigfoot diet. And according to my search here, deer populations in the U.S. are generally considered to be increasing, particularly for white-tailed deer. There have been fluctuations and declines in some regions, but overall, deer numbers have significantly grown compared to historical levels. For instance, estimates suggest a leap from a few 100,000 in the early 1900s to over 30 million today. So, boom. So maybe there is more.
Yeah. Oh, Edith. How you doing, neighbor?
Edith from Texas.
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail the conversation.
No, you didn't. We go all over on this show anyway. If you got an idea and it gets lost, just bring it up because that's, impromptu.
And you talking about, is it possible that there's more of them? Is it possible that, people are just coming out of the proverbial Bigfoot closet more? A
lot of people will be coming out of the closet at the secret party. Okay, I'm done. I'm done.
Is it possible that with us, people expanding into their territories, and having more encounters? I think it's all three. Yeah. I really do. I think it's a combination because the stigma behind, like you said, the stigma behind seeing a Bigfoot being called crazy football, it's still there, but it's not quite as bad as it used to be, So.
Yeah, I don't. I think you're right about that. I think because of, and I'm not giving us any credit or any podcast. I'm just saying that people seem to be more willing today to talk about it than 20 years ago, for sure.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
I don't think it's that big of a stigma. I don't think a lot of people look at you all that oddly anymore.
Well, it's weird because, people are intrigued. If they haven't had a sighting, they're intrigued by the subject. Okay. Because I know when I first, started the whole, podcast and all this kind of stuff, and I put Bigfoot stickers on my truck, right? And my wife, I'm never driving your truck to work. Yeah. But once it inevitably got out that I was, a podcaster and I did Bigfoot and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing Bigfoot at the secret party. But there's people that work with her now that love the show.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. So it's like I said, it's I don't think the stigma is there that like it used to be at all.
Well, even if you just drive around, you're seeing Bigfoot silhouette stickers all over the place.
You are.
You
do. And I just got to bring this up because just about 3 weeks ago, I have a friend. He was in Florida visiting his friend. In fact, this friend, he's my friend, but he's my best buddy's son. He's like 25 years old, and he was visiting his buddy.
He's your friend-in-law.
Friend-in-law, yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Well, he's my godson, so whatever. I got like a million of them. So He's down in Florida with his buddy, and then him and his buddy at this gas station in Florida. And there's this pickup truck, and they're not paying any attention, but they happen to notice in the back of the pickup truck. And I don't really promote this. I got a shop, and I've got window stickers, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, and window for you putting, like you say, on your trucks. And there was one of mine in Florida. They called me as soon as they see it. Say, hey, Uncle Rob, man, there's some dude who's got a one of your decals in his truck. I said, where are you? He goes, I'm in Florida. I'm going, no kidding. Where is he? He goes, he's in the. I said, go in and talk to him.
Right?
They just shout, hey, who's got the BMR decal? Well, they did. And there's some guy who was in there, started talking to this guy. And I can hear the guy in the background. He goes, hey, tell BMR I've been a subscriber for like 3 years. I love his show.
Oh, very
And I
cool.
said to put him on the phone, and he said he was on his way, and they didn't, and I lost connection or whatever. Didn't talk to the guy, but I heard him in the background, and that was like so cool. So cool.
That is
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, what are the chances? I mean,
I don't know. That's really cool though. That's a nice it's kind of incredibly humbling to know that there's people all over the place that are paying attention to what we say, and it's like, really? I'm just an idiot with a microphone. What do you
yeah,
Well,
and
I've had that happen to me twice. Okay. One was not too long after I got started and everything, and had the t-shirts out.
Yeah.
And me and my wife was going to East Texas, and I pulled over to get gas, and I walked in. This is during COVID, and I was wearing my hat, sunglasses, and a mask, I'm standing in line to pay for gas, and I had one of my shirts on. And this guy behind me goes, man, I love that freaking show. And I turned around, and I said, hey, I'm Tex. How you doing? You're Tex? Oh my God. And all that kind of stuff. And thank you, Amelia. Man.
Oh, that's cool.
And
Godfrey. She's awesome. More cryptid interactions, easier communication, more places to speak freely without judgment. I'm glad to have y'all to chat with and reach out to. And Nelia does reach out to me quite often. She's got a lot of cool things we talk about, and I appreciate you. And Anniella, I think. Annie. I'm going to call you Annie. Anniella. Thank you.
And then the second time was in Brown Springs.
Oh,
We were. It was me and Brandy and Monica and her son, and I think Chris was there. And I think Nick may have been there too. We was down at the bottom of the cemetery, and we was looking at the springs and all that kind of stuff. And there was a truck. There's a pretty good sized mud hole on the other side of the road, and there was this truck that come running through there and run through the mud hole, womp, 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 womp. And they come out on the other side and they park. And this guy and his like a 10-year-old daughter got out of the truck, and she's all excited because Daddy's taking her mudding, right? And he looks over across and goes, "Hey, don't I know you off YouTube?"
Yeah,
that's awesome.
it is awesome.
I've only been recognized one time ever. And it's about surprised the hell out of me, but I was like, I don't know. I mean, outside of conferences, of course, when you go to conferences, that's our people. So yeah, I mean, we're gonna bump into a lot more people that are familiar with us. But I was at Walmart and I was shopping with the missus and my little boy, and suddenly I've lived in this town for 10 years, but like nobody knows me because I'm such a hermit. But I'm shopping at Walmart, pushing the cart, and I hear Brent. And I'm thinking, there's no way this is for me. Nobody knows me. And then Brent Thomas, Paranormal Portal. And I was like, and so I turned around, and it was a really wonderful guy. He's from Montana, but he's over at our Walmart because apparently there's no Walmart in his neck of the woods. So he came over here, and we talked a little bit, but it was really, really humbling. It was like, wow.
It is. It makes you feel good. And
yeah.
It makes me, I'm glad I do this, and not just for that, but if you're reaching out to people because I think that we help a lot of people, I really do. And that was our number one goal from day one, right, Tex? And I'm sure for you too, Brent, right? help out.
Oh no, this is all about me. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, we know it's all about you, but
no, of course, yeah. I love the fact that we help people and give them a platform to share and you know, connect with people. Yeah, for sure.
Oh Lordy.
I know, Tex, you started running out of gas already, eh, buddy?
Yeah, I kind of hit that wall.
Wow. You hit the wall. For everybody, Tex is redoing his schedule. He'll be more, well, he's doing a good job today. He's toughing through it because he's got the new work schedule, but he'll be back on the air with me on Thursdays. Brent will be popping into, I'm going to keep you on the same program, Brent. You know, we'll
sure.
join when you can. And
absolutely.
this, that, and the other. So we'll continue on how we do. And once in a while, we'll have a guest. But guest shows are Tuesday nights mostly, to be honest with you.
Barbara.
What Barbara
Yeah,
say?
she says, okay, I'm getting my stalker membership card in the mail.
Yeah.
Barbara's wonderful. I met her several times. She showed up at several conferences and just a sweetheart, just an incredible. She does a lot of ceramics and pottery stuff. She's an incredible
awesome.
artist. Yeah.
Barbara. So yeah, I don't know if you've come into the conference, but you can also get yourself a vendor table. Make a few bucks.
Hold on. I'll grab something she made.
Okay, cool. Donnie,
Donnie says, I've never been recognized for myself. Give it time, Donnie. Give it time.
Don't worry, Donnie.
A few more super secret parties and you'll get recognized.
That's right.
Because he's been to one, he's been to two. So
yeah.
This is something Barbara made and gave me at the last conference. These are the Bigfoot petroglyphs that are well known.
That is awesome.
I love that.
Isn't that amazing? She did this.
Wow.
And she brought it and gave it to me in Utah at the Vernal conference. But yeah, it's just beautiful work.
Yeah, that is.
That is nice.
I'm jealous.
Well, you get to know her, you might get one of your own. I'm just saying.
Yeah. That's awesome, Barbara. So yeah. I don't think any. Yeah, well, whatever. Let's try to think what I've gotten from people. I've got mostly books from folks.
Oh, that's nice.
Which is cool, especially if I have them on, they'll send me a copy. I like that. That's pretty cool. Now I got a stack of books in the corner here that I haven't opened yet. I must admit, because I can't find the time nor to read them. I hate to say.
I got something real special one time. It's like a rosary.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, and they handcrafted it and hand poured it, and it's made out of they made it a special pewter blend it's pretty robust, so I can actually take it out in the field with me, and it hangs in my truck, man. I mean it goes everywhere I do, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And Danielle sent us something. She sent us a statue of Mary, and it's very beautiful. And then Rob sent me a statue of the thinking man Bigfoot.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. I like that.
Cool.
You know what I hate when I not that I hate. Thank you, Mike. Thing about Amazon, because I also sent Jason a portrait of a dragon for helping me out with my book, editing the book. And when you see things on Amazon, especially with yours, Texas, because I did not want it to look fake. I just wanted it to be cool looking.
Yeah,
and then when you got it, you showed me. I'm like, oh wow, that was a good choice.
Yeah,
because sometimes. It's not that it's sight unseen, but sometimes the picture is doctored up to make you impulse buy it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you don't get what you thought you paid for. We've all done that. That's the bad thing about Amazon. Other than that, a billion people still use it. So,
yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. Well, you can take out. It's already 12 o'clock. You can go to bed, man. I'll finish up with
I
Brent.
appreciate it.
Yeah, get back in the saddle, ready to go next Thursday.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you're back. I'm glad I shared that, and thanks for participating in the little fun secret party stuff. Which you guys, it's gonna be a great time. We're a lot of fun people, and we just have a good time. And
That's
And
right.
you will as well. You will as
Absolutely.
well.
Absolutely.
Right.
We'll make sure of it.
So I'll
Brent, it's
see
good
you.
seeing you again, brother. I know
Yeah,
it's
brother,
the same
take care.
thing. You know, when my schedule changed, same thing. We haven't been able to do what we usually do.
Are you going to be with me on Saturday?
I don't know.
Okay, sure. Fair enough.
I'll just have to wait to see what plans I have.
Sure. Just holler at me. You're
But,
always
I
welcome.
will let you know as soon as I can.
All right, thanks, man. You're always welcome.
I enjoyed having you on the show the other night.
Huh?
You did a show with me the other night. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was fun. That was neat. It was very nostalgic, and it really hasn't been that long. But it's just that I've
Well, it
just
seems that way.
so used to being with you guys that when I'm not hanging out with you guys, I just feel like, huh.
Yeah, I know, right? Same here.
Yeah, I miss it.
Yeah. It always seems, like I said earlier about Tex, when he's on this show with me, since he's been doing it for so long, it's odd when he's not here.
Yeah.
But the 6 weeks went by. That's the thing, though. It's the 6 weeks did blow by. It was like, oh my God, you're already back on your other shift now? Wow. What?
Yeah, I know, right?
I know. That means we're getting old, gentlemen.
Yeah, and that also means that it's the start of the summer. I'm not wishing away the summer, but that conference will be here like
before you know it.
Boom. So. All right, Tex, you get some more sleep, and I'll talk to you when I talk to you.
Yeah. All right. Good to see everybody. Brent, love you, brother.
Love you too, man. Get some rest. We'll talk to you
soon.
soon.
Love you, BMR, man.
All right.
Love everybody in chat. We'll see y'all later.
Did you want me to boot you? You know how to do it, don't you?
Well, I'm trying.
You're not allowed to leave.
Oh, boy, I can't do it either. Oh, there he goes.
You got to figure it out.
We got him. So, yeah, Tex is back on his schedule. He was dragging. He just got home, and it was his first shift on nights. And he says, man, he was the busiest he's been at work and that he's been in forever. So I could tell as soon as I talked. I had to wake him up to come on the show. I called you, Brett, and I said, hey, man, yeah, I guess I'm going to need you because I don't feel like going solo because Tex is not picking up his phone.
I'm really glad that you texted me. Like I really was not even functioning on one cylinder yet. I just woke up and it's like, oh, see you soon. I'm like, don't.
Yeah, well, that Pacific time, you're Pacific, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, that's 3 hours. 3 hours is significant.
Yeah, well, I'm a night owl by nature, so like I'm up till 1 and 2 in the morning, and then sometimes I crash really well, and other times I'm doing a lot of cat naps through the night, but this was one of those crashing nights, and if you hadn't texted, it would have been pretty weird here.
Would have been weird. Well, I could have got through it, but
nah, you're fine. You're doing great.
Thank you. I usually can come up with something. But yeah, we're reverting back though. When I was telling you about, I swear we've got 1 billion white-tailed deer here, right where I live. It seems.
Well,
and up in Idaho, I mean, what is? Have you noticed any of the? Because you're out in the woods once in a while, right? I mean, you're in the woods basically, aren't you? Where you live, or are you outside?
Yeah, really up on I'm on the very north tip, and it's mostly forest up here. There's not a lot of agriculture. It's a lot of mountains and beautiful forests up here. But I don't really have, like in Minnesota, I could have told you very much about, oh yeah, there's definitely more of this or more of that. But out here, I've only been here for 10 years and I'm not like avidly outdoors all the time. So I don't know if there's more of anything. It's just, but I'll see mule deer, see, white-tailed deer, see moose, see the occasional bear. But I also live in a town. So, if I was maybe out on the fringes more, I would see that. But I just definitely think that I don't know, it seems to be like a population explosion. That's why I was looking it up, because if there's more food, then biologically there'll be more predators, right?
Yeah, you would think so.
Yeah.
That's why I do believe that there's gotta be, because I've done some stories on Bigfoot in the Upper Peninsula. Now, yes, Lower Michigan, Michigan's so weird. I live in Southern Michigan. Then there's Central Michigan. But then there's northern Michigan, which is not up north. You see, it's weird about Michiganders, especially people that you live in the UP, which is the Upper Peninsula.
Mhm.
If you live, like, say, in Cadillac, which is where I saw my Bigfoot, or anywhere north of Flint, okay, and you say that you're going up north, the people in the UP get mad at you. That's not up north till you get over the Mackinac Bridge, which is so, but north of me that's the forest, man. Once you get outside of Flint, it's nothing but forest. You
Mhm.
get over the bridge, it's even more forest. In fact, I think it's all forest, unpopulated. So I think it would be great if I could ever afford to slip away for a couple of weeks. Would be go right out smack dab right in the middle of the Upper Peninsula.
So would you are you fancying or interested in doing active research yourself?
No, not well. I'd like to get out in the forest more and observe things. The more I know, I didn't know crap in 2018, but I know a lot now. But
Mhm.
I'd like to kind of apply some of those things because I'd go through on trails around here. I mean,
Yeah.
we have a trail out back. I'm surrounded by this wood line that goes all the way from. It's called the Huron Creek, which is the big tributary, goes through all of Michigan. And there's a lot of creepy things. It's kind of creepy, but
Mhm.
you can take it from where I currently live and you can follow it all the way to the Detroit River.
Oh.
And there's a lot of haunting stops along the way on this river that it goes into something which is called Dead Man's Curve. Now, Dead Man's Curve back in 1967, which I've been to many times growing up, was a story about in 1967, the year I was born. There was a young couple, old enough to drive, a
Mhm.
man and a girl, and they had a convertible vehicle, and they weren't familiar with the area, and this curve is a very sharp curve, and they were going at a high rate of speed. Now at this curve, right at the bend and the turn, where it curves onto another road, there is a bridge, and there's the creek. And it's in the middle of a wood line. Well, today it's all wood line. It was a little more of an open field, I guess, in 67. So
Mhm.
they're going 50 miles an hour or whatever. They missed, and they launched. When they
Oof.
hit the curve, they went right up and they launched the vehicle into the creek. Now, was an overpass of a bridge right there. Well, the young man got ejected from the car.
Oh.
And, he, of course, lost his life. And the girl as well, but she was caught. They was caught in the seat of the car somehow, where she wasn't ejected. But as the car came down on an angle towards the underside of the bridge, she hit her head and was decapitated.
Oh, geez. Wow.
Yeah. So hence Dead Man's. We call it Dead Man's Curve, Dead Man's Bridge. There's different names throughout the years.
Mhm.
So a couple years later, don't know if it was legend, don't know what it was. That area allegedly is haunted by the headless ghost of the woman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this Dead Man's Bridge in the house I grew up in was about 8 blocks from my mom and dad's house. And me and my friends heard the legend of the story. It was all
Mhm.
throughout the neighborhood. So we would always go down there intrigued and heard about the ghost. So we kept going back and trying to find this ghost. And we were young kids. We were probably started doing this maybe around 10, 11 years old, up into our early teens. And then it ended up becoming our area as we got a little bit older. We turned it into like a fort. We had set up our own little campsite there where we'd always just hang out.
Mhm.
But never came across any ghost. But I will tell you this then. When we were about 21 years old, me and my buddy Brian and Darren, they had put in a trail that cut through either side of this creek and went over a different overpass that was built. And this trail we would walk down, we're looking ahead, and we seen this light, this reflection,
Mm.
maybe 50 yards in front of us, and it's nighttime, and we're kind of staring at this, and this light seemed to get brighter, and it seemed to be not coming from the ground, but it seemed to be like elevated off the trail path, maybe several feet, and it
Mm.
was getting closer. And we're thinking it was maybe a headlight of maybe someone there was mopeds back in the day. You remember?
Oh, sure. Yep.
So we're thinking, but it was very quiet. You couldn't hear anything, and this light is advancing. And so me and my friends stopped, and we were not scared. We're not thinking ghosts. We're not thinking anything. We just want to know who this was. We thought it was a person with a big spotlight or something. And then as it got closer, it kind of stopped, and maybe it's 20 yards away. And we swear when we seen this thing, I'm not suggesting it was a headless woman, but it kind of took the shape of like a ghost. And
Oh.
me and my buddies, Darren and Brian, we turned around and we got scared though, and we ran all the way home because we all lived in the same neighborhood, and my house is literally several blocks away, as well as these two friends of mine. So we didn't say nothing. We got scared and we ran home.
Mm-hmm.
So the next morning we could reconvene, and I brought some a pad of paper and some crayons, some pencils, and I said, "Hey guys, we were like still talking about what do we think we saw. I don't know, man." So I brought some paper over. I said, "Why don't you draw what you saw and let's compare our notes, right?" So I drew what I remember seeing. My buddy and my two friends did, and we took 5-10 minutes and did our drawing. And I'll be damned, we saw the same thing because all our images they aligned and matched up pretty similarly. And it was like a set of shoulders, like in a long like gown, but there
Mhm.
was not an image of a head. And
Wow.
then we were thinking that, no way, you guys, come on. We just thought that was some ghost story. We've been going, and Brent, we've been going to this creek, this Dead Man's Curve area for 5, 6, 7 years from our early childhood through teenage era, right?
Mhm.
And after a while, we just thought it was just all BS because we never
Sure.
experienced anything.
Yeah.
So then we all got a chilled vibe that, maybe we did see what they allege. I can't confirm that, but that's what we saw. And it was I mean, I can't confirm it was that ghost, right? But it was something
Sure.
that was different.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
which was pretty creepy.
That is. Yeah, that's pretty powerful. It is interesting. I mean, obviously, you guys were aware of that legend, so maybe that kind of like I'm sure that you saw a spiritual entity of some kind, but is it exactly that same spirit, or is that the filter you interpreted it through, and that's why?
It could have been. I was thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the same area. I don't think I ever told you this. This is the same area. And in fact, this is kind of still a hot spot. I mean, we'll go over there because it's actually a very pretty area.
Mhm.
And I was over there with another one of my buddies, and we come out. We're walking along the creek because it's very nice to walk about, right? So we're walking about this creek, and we go up the bottoms of the creek is where like at the shoreline. We kind of walk up into this meadow, and so we're walking, and I'm kind of looking in the distance. And I remember it was a very dry summer that year, and there was a lot of really, a lot of the brush and a lot of the branches from trees were very, very dried out. So I'm looking ahead, and all of a sudden, no big deal, I see this stick pop up from the ground straight up in the air, and it was maybe 3 feet, and it's
Mhm.
maybe 30 feet in front of me. It just pops out of the ground. I'm looking at it, but I'm looking past it towards something else that I had spotted. I think it was like a hawk in the background. I was kind of looking in this, but the stick, and I pay no attention. I'm looking in the sky at the hawk. The hawk gets out of my sight, and then I kind of get ready to turn around. I kind of look back at that popped up stick, and then Brett, the stick comes up. It comes up out of the ground, and it starts literally moving and running. It almost appeared to be running toward the creek. And
Oh,
popping out on the sides of this stick, it seemed to have arms, and it was going like this. It kind of reminded me of the Planters Peanut Man. Then had actually spindly legs, and
wow.
and it was running. And I'm not scared. This is daytime, and I ran after this thing. And my buddy, we were trying to catch it. We thought, I don't know what I'm thinking. It wasn't scary, but it was running, man. It was just a stick running,
Yeah.
and then it goes down. Then it hits the creek. It's down into the creek, and it jumps. It gets into the creek, falls in, jumps in, whatever. When the stick figure with the arms and the spindly legs hits the creek, it converts back into just an average stick that you and I could see floating down the creek, and it started floating down the river or the creek. And me and my friends are walking along the creek line, watching the sticks. We want to get this stick, but then all these other sticks joined it, and it was like they all blended together. You couldn't tell any stick from each other, so we didn't know, and it was gone. So now I'm a little, I'm like, and I'm in my early 20s, and so then I started, doing some looking things up, and I found things like stick bugs. There are stick bugs we've seen. They're that big.
Yeah.
They look
Yeah.
like a stick, but there's
Yeah.
a bug, right?
Yeah. They
So
generally don't run away from you and pump their arms.
no, well, and then the more I started getting involved in this stuff we all talk about, someone suggested to me maybe it was an elemental,
Yeah.
part of the Fae, maybe. I don't
That's
know.
what I was thinking personally. Yeah. Wow. What a sighting, dude.
That was weird. I mean, it didn't scare me. I was kind of more like thrilled,
Yeah.
and this is before my Bigfoot days. This is just me as a young guy, man, and thought it was crazy. And guess where it was, though? In that area of the Dead Man's Bridge.
Really? Wow.
So there's something going on there.
That's incredible. That's a bizarre story, but I mean, I have no doubt that you're being honest. It's just,
Yeah, I mean, can't make that up. It was just like, I mean, and it was just like, I mean, yeah, hey, could I say that, hey, got windy and the stick moved like it was running? I physically seen pumping little arms, man, and like spindly legs, and it's like,
so the whole thing was like it was a stick creature, though, right?
yeah,
Like,
stick creature is a good way to say, good
wow,
way to explain it.
that's
Yeah,
incredible. I mean, there's sightings
and
that
you
I've
can find stuff like. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say there's sightings that I've heard of these giant like stick creatures, and I don't know that they're necessarily sticks, but they have the long spindly limbs and
Yeah.
they look like they're generally cited being huge, like 10 feet or 9 feet. They're very rare, but I've never heard of a little one. I suppose
I've
maybe
looked.
they got to start little.
Well, yeah, but then again, it could have been something of a different realm.
Yeah.
As I was talking. I mean,
Yep.
and and anybody can go online, and there are certain creatures that kind of fit that description.
Sure.
Not in North America, though.
Oh, right.
They're like the rainforest.
Yeah. I mean, it's just incredible. I just, that's one of the things that just continues to boggle my mind is like, how much don't we know? Like we have this idea that we know so much, but how much don't we know about what's going on around us? And I think that list is way bigger than what we do know.
We think, I don't, there's just so much out there that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
We focus our thoughts on these shows. We talk about Bigfoot, cryptids, Dogman,
Sure.
Mothman, paranormal entities and such. But I bet there's way more than just Bigfoot and Dogman.
Oh yeah, for sure. But the thing is that, of course, with the popularity of Bigfoot and the Dogman topics, it's very easy to cover that. People will be interested.
Yeah.
It's a little tougher to say, here's my stick story, because most people be like, oh yeah, what kind of mushrooms were you eating that day? Because it does sound almost hallucinatory, but I think this stuff is out there. I think it really is.
I think it's out there too. And I don't know, am I frozen because all of a sudden I can't type any chat messages?
You're fine here.
Okay, well, I guess there's a screw up on this side with whatever. But anyway, as long as you can still see me and hear me.
Yep. It's working. I'm just going to see. Yeah, I'm typing directly into YouTube chat, but
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I want to thank everybody. I mean, certainly for coming in today, because this is a great show. It's always a great show. I'm not suggesting I'm ending it just yet. I just can't chat to you guys. But briefly, though, I did want to thank Kelly, Andrew, Mark, Diane, Annie, and Mike for your awesome super chats. I love you guys. Appreciate that. Never expected, always appreciated, though. So yeah, but again, there's things out there I can't even. Then we of course revolved and we hear about the Gugway creature and we hear about this, that, and the other. So we've kind of expanded our cryptid vocabulary. But there's other things that I'm really excited to see, which alludes me to what I was talking about. No, I don't want to be a researcher. I'll go out in the field a lot more when I can. Yeah, I watch my mom, so I don't leave her. When I go on this like outing in Missouri, I'm making sure that my nephew stays with my mom. She can get around. She's not inept, but
right.
You know, there's certain things she can't do. So down the road, blah blah blah. I'd like to get out, just do more hiking and exploring, if you will. You know, just because of all the things I know that I like to apply some of these things in the woods. But I will tell you that I'd love to go to the Upper Peninsula over the bridge in the middle of nowhere, where a lot of people don't venture into, because I'll bet you these things that we've not found, or I bet you they're there.
Yeah.
That'd be exciting. That'd be exciting.
There's a question in the chat. Does Brent think the Bigfoot are bigger in Idaho? Well, I don't know. There was here's the thing. I've talked to a lot of people like in Florida that have witnessed skunk apes. And I used to think that they were probably smaller, like 6 or 7, because in biology, there's a thing called, I think it's Bergman's rule or Bergman's law. And the idea is that any type of animal, the further away from the equator it is, the more big they become. And it's observable in like deer and other things that the further away from the equator, the more big and robust they become.
Right.
But I've got to tell you, I don't know that the Bigfoot are any bigger in either place, because I've heard people talking about skunk ape sightings and, knowing that they were 9 and 10 feet tall. And then again, I've heard claims of Alaskan Bigfoots that are well over 10 feet tall. So maybe there is something to it, maybe not. But I think if there is, it's probably not a real big spectrum of size difference. Like, it's pretty close. So in retrospect, I haven't heard anything to substantiate that it is the case that the ones up here and up north more of here are that much bigger, but it's possible.
I've heard that same theory too. They suggested maybe in Alaska, Montana. Well, Duke can talk about Montana, but I'm talking about like Alaska, all these vast swaths of land and mountainous ranges. Let's just use Alaska, for example. Everyone assumes that the Alaskan Bigfoot are huge. But you also got to remember, don't you think, Brent, even though they have more room to roam, don't you think that it's a lot harder for them to seek out prey with all the predators? I mean, to me, that would be more challenging, because they're not the only.
Right. Yeah, they're definitely more competition. Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure. Where there's like whole, communities of brown and polar bears. The more north you get, then I don't know how north they are, though. I don't know if they're up in the Arctic or not, or maybe they are. I just don't know. But you're right. I think certainly if there's more competition, it's going to affect a lot of the variables. But yeah, I suppose up in Alaska, there's a lot more competition than there is down in, Alabama, for something like this to survive.
Yeah, absolutely. And even where I currently live in the southern part of Michigan, we don't have any predators here.
Yeah.
We might have a lynx or a bobcat come through. Big deal. What we have here, I have feral cats.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And they are probably the biggest predator around. I mean, they've been known and they get big, Brett. I never realized. I said, what the hell is that in my backyard? It was a cat, but it was a wild cat, born into the wild. And it's not a house. It was not a domestic cat. And we
Wow.
have a lot that roam around here.
Sure.
And yes, small kittens and puppies have been taken by these things or mauled
Oh, sure.
by the cats.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
I think they take whatever opportunity they can. Yeah. Wild animals will, for sure. I mean, there's a huge variation in domestic cats too. And I'm not just speaking of like Maine Coons. I was at the shelter near here a few years ago, and there was this looked like Anubis, my black cat, except it was like literally twice as big. And Anubis is not a little cat, but this thing was nearly the size of like a Maine Coon. Just this beautiful, and they named him. His name was Samson, and it was just the most beautiful cat I'd ever seen. It was like, oh my God, that's a big, beautiful black cat. But, you know, we didn't end up adopting him, but because I didn't know if he would come home and eat my cats. So he's a pretty big boy. He was huge. It's like, oh my God. Very cool though.
yeah, it's weird. That is pretty cool. And I got to tell you too, really quickly, is we not only do we have the feral cats, the wild cats, we also have. I don't know where they come from, and I don't know where it is about where I live. Maybe it is because of that creek tributary. I don't know, because it does stretch. I mean, it stretches where I live. As I said, you can take this because I lived in pretty much. I'm back when I moved back. Of course, I lived at the parents' house growing up, obviously where the Dead Man's Bridge is. And then when I married, I moved well north of here.
Mhm.
And then when I got divorced and opened my bar, I moved back down in this area closer to my mom and dad and my brother. But I always liked it around the creek tributary. So I live again around that. And it extends from where I live to Ann Arbor, Michigan. And as I said, all the way, and it empties into the Detroit River. And so the reason why I think that we have all these different feral cats and things, we also have dogs that are not owned by folks.
Oh,
They
yeah.
just roam, you know.
Feral dogs. Yeah. Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, I've come across some of these, and they're quite scary
Yeah.
sometimes, especially when there's a pack of them.
So I want to point this out to you, Rob. Joe Two Pops in the chat donated $5.
Yeah, see you guys. Okay, thank you, Joe. I can't. My chat. My
Yeah,
button
the
ain't
chat
working.
is frozen on the app, but it's still going on YouTube. I'm
Okay,
watching
well,
that.
thanks. Okay, well, thank you, Joe, for that. I'm sorry I can't see any of your donations or your questions or comments. I know that you always participate, everybody. I just can't see it, so I'm not ignoring you at all. So thank you so much, Joe, for that. I appreciate you. So, and I guess just hit the like button on your way out. You got anything interesting going today, or when's your next show, Brent? I know you're on Friday.
Yeah, I'll
and
be on
Saturday.
Friday and Saturday again, are my live shows, and then of course I release the podcast every Monday. So Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, I do my live shows on YouTube. So, and Facebook, several other platforms, Rumble, and so you can always watch them there. But yeah, nothing extraordinarily planned. I'm trying to put together some investigations, go out and look for some ghosts, but nothing scheduled. Unfortunately, it's been real quiet.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're on every day. That's all. You're on your scheduled dates. That's all that matters, because I know that people like when you don't miss your days.
Yeah,
I miss a day and I'll get, oh my God, how am I going to do a show? Well, I did.
you know what's funny though?
Huh?
What's funny to me is like, and I think it's a beautiful, really cool thing. But when I get messages from people apologizing for not being there for the live, oh, sorry, I couldn't make it for the last one. I had this family function. It's like, wow, I mean, that's really nice. But you don't owe me an explanation, but it's kind of neat,
You know what? I get those too. I think we all do, and I'm very humbled by that as well. And what it does, it just gives me the satisfaction that at least people like what we're doing, right?
Yeah, right. I think
it makes it well worth doing.
Yeah, absolutely. But just goes to show you the caliber of audiences that we have, that they they're not just watching, they're a part of this, and they know they're a part of this community, and it's really cool.
We are a community. We have a great community, a lot of great people that show up each and every single day that we're on, and you guys are very appreciative. And also, I always start saying this too, Brent, before we go.
Yeah.
Yes, I love the people in the chat room. Thank you always for showing up and supporting. Hit the like button, by the way. But it's also the people that are watching that don't participate in chat. The people who watch the replays. There are people watching right now that are not in chat, and there's more people watching now that are in the chat room, because that's what people have their preferences, and they're just as wonderful and help drive our shows too, because it's all about the aggregate of everybody collectively together, which is why we do this. So,
amen, brother. I know I used to grind away in a cubicle, and I'd have my headphones on listening to my shows, and it wasn't that I was really focused and actively listening, but it was comforting to listen because these were familiar voices and stuff. So it's really cool that we can be that for other people as well.
Absolutely, we can. And I do thank everybody, and I think the last chat that I read was like 15 minutes ago. So if I missed, I did not ignore you guys. I got some technical issue here, but thank you so much for coming on the show. Tonight, go check out the Blondes and Booze. Today is Thursday night. Yeah, they're on Thursday night tonight.
Yeah,
and then Brent Friday. I'm on Saturday night with the gals as well at 11. So.
A
great week. I appreciate you, Brent. Thanks everybody for coming on in. Once again, thank you for the donations from all the folks I mentioned earlier. Love you guys. I can't pull it up and thank you again, but you know who you are, and I thank you for that. So with that being said, I hope I can finagle over to the exit button, right? Okay, it seems like that's working. With that being said, thanks, Brent. I'll talk to you later. Thanks, everybody. Hit the like button.
This is the future. Evolution.
The Crossing Realms Conference launches September 19th and 20th and will dock in Richmond, Missouri. This is already being called the event of the year, folks. With an unprecedented list of speakers and special guests, 2 days of cryptids, UFOs, and paranormal presentations, along with a celebrity-filled ghost hunt, meet and greet, gallery reading, vendors, and a film screening. This promises to be both educational and fun. Go to Eventbrite.com to secure your tickets and vendor slots before they are all abducted. They're going fast.
I think the stream's still on. I don't know if I can end it.
It is still on, sir. I can see it. Yeah. Maybe can I end it?
Yeah, you can end it. I can't end it. Hey, everybody. Yeah, there's something going on in good old BMR's computer.
If you we're with you all day. It's the BMR marathon.
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't come back. I'm picking my nose or something. Oh my God, we're not clear.
All right, I'm gonna hit the end stream button.
Okay, buddy. Thank you.
All right, go, cross your fingers. I don't know if this is gonna work or not. Yeah. We'll see ya.
All right.
An error occurred. Wait a moment, then try again.
Yeah, we are.
Let's okay. I waited a moment. Let's see. An error occurred. Wait a moment.
I'm getting the same thing. I don't know how we do this. Do we?
Well, I think we can both leave the studio on the bottom.
Shut off.
I imagine if it's just dead, but I guess we'll watch and see.
Yeah.
Have a good day, brother. Thanks for having me on again.
Bye-bye. Thank you.